Welcome back to the show that's full of positive energy. This is Wrestling with Egos, and with a brand new sponsor. This episode of Wrestling with Egos is brought to you by the FCC because, they're kind of pissed. Apparently, I'm a potty mouth. So we're going to keep this nice and happy this week. We're just going to lie about it. Thank you guys so much for being a part of the show, whether you're listening to us on Anchor Podcasts or you're watching us on YouTube. Man, it's going to be a fun week. We got a lot to talk about. We're going to spend the next hour talking about what happened on Hell in a Cell, AEW, NXT. Yeah, we're going to talk some homework, and we're going to preview Friday night's WWE Draft with our own very quick 10-round draft. But no show would be complete without my friends, because I'm not doing this crap by myself. RJ, Brian, what's good, boys?
Nothing much. Another great week of wrestling to digest and talk about. Some things that left us scratching our head, some things that left us wanting more, and some things to look forward to. I think we can all agree that we're actually looking forward to some things that are about to happen in the week ahead.
Yes. Let's start this show off with a brand new segment that I literally came up with 2 seconds ago. Springing this one on you guys. We're going to call this the good, the bad, and the ugly. RJ, first off, how you doing? And then second off, what was your good? What was your bad? What was your ugly from Sunday to now on Thursday?
Well, I'm doing pretty all right, seeing as the most recent wrestling show that I watched was AEW Dynamite. So the good, I would say all of Dynamite. I don't think there was a letdown at all. I'd have nothing negative to say about that show. I would say that from beginning to end, Dynamite is my good. My bad, I think we kind of covered a little bit last week, since last Friday still counts as this week since we record on Tuesday.
Sunday to now.
Well, I mean, the bad is WWE since Sunday.
Yeah.
All of it. And then the ugly is obvious. It's every minute of the main event at Hell in a Cell was really ugly.
I would disagree with you on that, but we'll get to that when I get to mine. Brian, you're good, bad, ugly.
My good is going to shock everyone. My good is that Private Party versus Young Bucks match from last night in the opening round of the tag team championship tournament they're having. I want to dive into that a little bit deeper because I think the Bucks have a little something going on right now. The bad is how WWE continues to operate as if they're in a vacuum and they can do whatever they want because there's no fear of repercussions and no fear of backlash, and we're going to spin everything into a positive, and it doesn't always work. Trust me, I try that with the Lovebird sometimes, and you can't spin every negative into a positive. The Lovebird still wins.
No. Hey, unmarried guys, especially guys that are currently engaged in watching this show, take a lesson from the three of us. You will not spin everything with your wife into a positive thing. Sometimes you just need to smile, nod your head, and say, "Yes, ma'am. Yes, dear. I love you."
True.
Yeah.
And my ugly, I don't think what my ugly would be. I mean, the ugly would be, I guess, WWE's plan for the main event from Hell in a Cell, because it seems like they didn't have one. Or it seems like the three of us could have come up with a more coherent strategy. And, I know that I'm, kind of spoiling the next segment that we're going to get into here in a minute, but I guess that would be my ugly. Out of everything I saw this week, that would be the ugliest of what I saw.
Well, for me, the good, I got to, believe it or not, I'm actually going to wholeheartedly agree with Brian on this one. Private Party Young Bucks. Oh, my God. I've known about the Young Bucks for a very long time. I've always thought they were a tad overrated, I have shut my mouth on that through watching AEW pay-per-views, so I was very much looking forward to this, and I had never seen Private Party before in my life. Holy crud. Them boys are good. So that is my good. My bad is the Raw commentary team of Vic Joseph, Jerry Lawler, and Dio Madden. The only thing good about that is Vic Joseph. And my ugly is the last 5 minutes of our main event from Hell in the Cell. I thought the rest of the match was awesome until the last 5 minutes. It's kind of like the movie Man of Steel. I loved the movie until like the last 10, 15 minutes of it. And then I was pretty blaming pissed off. Kind of like Sunday night. But guys, so much to get into. And now that we've got the good, the bad, and the ugly out of the way, here's the socials. You can always hit us up on Twitter. You can hit RJ up at RJ E-Man with not one, but 2 N's. You can hit up Brian at BCrigo15. And you can hit up your boy at the apropos rant mode on, which was all of last week. Guys, so much to get into. And let's start off with Hell in the Cell, and I want to unpack 2 things and 2 things only. That way we don't spend a week talking about this hot garbage. I give you 2 matches, good and ugly. Sasha versus Becky, Seth versus Bray. Let's end it on a positive. RJ, I'm going to start with you. I'm going to go to me, and then we're going to end with Brian, because Brian's going to probably have less venom in his voice. So, and again, trying to be positive, guys. RJ, main event, Cell, go.
Trash. Done. I can't see it. The whole thing. I didn't like any of it. I didn't like the red light. I know, and I get it, and I understand, like, story-wise, I get it, but I've seen too many pictures of people that were there that had a really hard time seeing the match with the red light and the red cell, and that was the first thing I thought of when I saw the red light, and I just didn't like it. I don't think it's a very good idea. I get why they did it, and I appreciate it, and I think that's a good idea in theory. The execution was a little off.
Red Light Brew's entrance added a whole different gangster element.
Absolutely. 100%. I could not agree with that more. Me and the villain in training have a running argument as to whether the red cell is garbage or not. I think that it is horrible. He loves it. Anyway, I wanted Bray to destroy Seth a lot more than what happened. I felt like Seth got even before the end, Seth got too much offense in. I feel like the Fiend should have absolutely destroyed him. And one thing I'll say real quick, and then I'll throw it to you, is that I'm hearing a lot of people saying that the end of that match buried Seth Rollins' finisher and destroyed the curb stomp as a finisher. I think it did the exact opposite thing. I think that the curb stomp is so strong that it taking that many for Bray to stay down builds up Bray instead of building down the curb stomp. I do not agree with that at all. The ref stoppage was garbage. It was absolutely horrible. It's a freaking Hell in a Cell match. Go.
First off, I'm going to start with this, and I'm going to very briefly rant mode on. How in the blue hell do you have a stoppage in a Hell in a Cell match? Rant mode off. That is point A, B, C, D, and E, boys and girls. The match itself, I thought it told a different story than you did, RJ. And where you're complaining that Seth got too much offense in, I'm saying Seth's increased offense made Bray look like a 1980s monster movie killer, made him look like Jason or Freddy or Michael Myers. He just kept coming and coming and coming. And you're like, oh my God, I've done everything but put a 50 cal shell into this dude's heart. What is it gonna take? And then the 500, the night of 1,000 curb stomps.
I love it.
Yeah, night of 1,000 curb stomps. Show title. Show title. Book it. But I thought literally up until the end, it made Seth look strong, which if you weren't flipping the title, you needed to do that. And they did. You stopped the Hell in the Cell match, which I thought was stupid, and their asinine excuse and their reasoning for it. His livelihood. I'm like, okay, you're calling livelihood now, but we didn't stop the cell when Mick Foley got thrown off of it. Kiss my ass. Hang on, gotta be a dad. You okay, sweetie? All right, cool. All right, Squishy Face is crashing on the couch tonight, so we're live, pal.
Shout out to Squishy Face.
Shout out to Squish. So I loved it until the end, because we threw Mick Foley off this son of a gun, and you're gonna say, oh well, his livelihood, when it's 15 chairs, a ladder, a toolbox, and now we're gonna get the sledgehammer. Really? But it made Bray look like Jason. He just kept coming, and I loved it.
That's true.
Until the end. Brian.
This gets down to the heart of my issue with WWE whenever they're presented with something that's out of their comfort zone. Because I think we can all agree that Bray Wyatt and his mind and his creative juices are very much outside what they normally do. And my argument is, you've trusted Bray for what, 6 months now with these Firefly Funhouse vignettes, and we're going to attack some legends, and then we're going to attack some in-ring talent, and we're going to attack Finn Balor, and we're going to, the roller coaster's going up the first, my issue is you better be willing to go all the way. And I'm of the camp that it wasn't too soon to put the title on Bray. Because you resisted the urge to just put it on him right away or keep him as far away from the title as possible. You had him a month ago start taking dead aim at Seth Rollins. And I felt like, the offense was desperation laced from Seth Rollins. He was doing things he doesn't normally do. I mean, yeah, he's used chairs before, but not to that degree, not the toolboxes, not the manic look on his face, like I can't put this guy away, all of that kind of stuff. My problem with it again is I get that it's scripted, and I get that, all things like this, but there has to be some things you can count on. Like a Hell in a Cell match is historically anything goes. All of them have gone to a finish no matter how brutal it's gotten. So why are you now going to wreck that narrative by calling off the match because Seth sees fit to use a sledgehammer? That's where I have a problem with it. Our minds want to make sense of what we're watching. My mind for sure wanted to make sense of what I was watching, and I sat there after the pay-per-view went off the air for about 20 minutes before I went to bed, just staring off into space in my living room, thinking, I don't, 5 plus 5 is supposed to equal 10, and now you're telling me it equals 13? I don't understand. I want to have some sense of coherence and some sense of logic here. You didn't give me any.
Let's move on to the good part of Hell in the Cell, and that was the off the rails match between Becky Lynch and Sasha Banks. Brian, I will let you go first because I know one of these two is your girl.
I couldn't believe this match. I mean, and I will say this, as disappointed as I was when Charlotte and Sasha did this several years ago, and I thought, remember we talked on one of our shows early on about how that was a missed opportunity.
Yes.
How they could, all props to them for doing what they did, but there were some clunky spots in that match that I thought could have been ironed out. This match was the polar opposite of that one. And to the point where I couldn't tell who was dragging who to that match. I mean, you would think, okay, Becky's going to call it all and stuff like that, but Sasha was giving just as much as she was getting. And I loved the innovative spot with the kendo sticks with the chair perched on top of them.
Yes.
I was trying to figure out what are they doing with those. And then when they wedged the chair on top of them, I'm like, oh, that's going to hurt. That's going to be a problem. That's going to be a problem for somebody. Big ups to Sasha Banks and Becky Lynch, because for as much as we've talked about the past several weeks about how we might be getting 4 horsewomen fatigue, there's a reason WWE keeps going back to them, because more often than not, they deliver top quality matches. And more often than not, they're stealing the show or they're the match of the night, with a few exceptions here and there. So it doesn't matter what permutation you give me, I'm there for the horsewomen.
Yeah.
Enough
And
said.
I'm gonna be honest, and RJ, I'll throw this to you so you can either agree or disagree with what I'm about to say, and then give your critique of that match. I will take the top 4 wrestlers, the top 4 women in WWE, more than likely the horsewomen, over the top 4 in AEW. And I think that's probably one of the few places you can say WWE's got AEW. RJ.
WWE's women's division, top to bottom, blows AEW's women's division out of the water right now. I don't think it's close. This match proves that. Proves it again. Now you guys know that over the last couple of weeks, I've been bitching and complaining and moaning about Charlotte and Bayley and Becky and Sasha and Bayley and Charlotte and Becky and Sasha, and I'm over it. And
Tigers and Bears.
And you're correct. The reason they keep going back to this is because they keep stepping the level up. Every time they give them another showcase, every time they give them another way to prove that they're the best, they do it. I feel like there are other women within the company that can keep up with them that should be getting those opportunities as well. But that to the side, this match was absolutely fantastic. The best part, I feel, by far, was the part that had me calling other people into the room. Come here, you have to come see what's about to happen, when they started setting up the chair on the kendo sticks. And then it didn't disappoint. They did a spot. It was a good spot. It was very well done. I have no complaints about this match. I think, except for the red cell, I think beginning to end, the match quality was top notch. I don't think Sasha should have won the belt. I agree with the outcome. I agree with her reaction after. I think it was all well done. I think from the beginning of the entrances until the camera faded and they went to something else, I think it was awesome.
Yeah, I agree with all of that. So I'm not even going to try and restate it. The only thing I will do is just piggyback. In terms of what RJ, what you said with agreeing with the conclusion of the match, I honestly think there was no other way to finish the match than have Becky go over, because I think at this point, having Becky on this role as she, and continuing to reaffirm that she is in fact the man, I don't think one-on-one with anybody, Becky loses. I think when Becky eventually loses the title, it's going to take a collaborative effort between a couple of people, namely, a tag team, or Sasha and Bayley, or Nikki Cross getting involved so Alexa can take the title, or Asuka with the green mist. Shout out to Asuka for bringing back the green mist. Hell yes. But something like that, because I think the man character is just too damn strong right now.
Here's
Brian,
a
you
quick,
want to say one
quick
last thing?
side note. As far as the cell itself is concerned, do you think the red lights would have worked with a regular cell, or would that have been too off-putting also?
It would have looked a little better, but it still would have looked stupid.
Okay. Because the red light thing, I mean, we've seen this before, like when they did it with Sin Cara for a while, and they bathed it in that gold light or whatever.
Hated it. Hated it.
Or the blue light. It was dumb. I mean, now they did it with Gold Dust, but it was never for a couple of his matches. I remember there was a gold light and stuff like that, but that worked at least because the production was such that you weren't competing with a structure. See the match, you still saw the ring, and Gold Dust was supposed to freak you out. Mission accomplished.
Yep.
But this was just conceptually, I thought it was a better idea in somebody's head than it actually was in the execution of it.
And they did the red light with Kane as well in the early days.
Right.
When it was the square mask. So sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. My opinion, now kind of looking back on it, you just keep it for Bray Wyatt's entrance. You may be onto something, but also thinking that back, I kind of like the strobe light a little bit better. I thought that made it creepier.
Yeah, it did make it creepier for sure.
And I'm gonna be honest. I think the whole Bray Wyatt thing needs to be pushing the needle as far creepy as you can get with the PG rating. If you're going TV 14 like AEW when Jericho drops the S bomb in the first hour, yes. But yeah, that's kind of how I felt on that. So let's go ahead and transition. RJ, I'm going to let you go last because you're the one that's going to beam the most about this. Brian, aside from Private Party, actually, you know what? I'm going to let you talk about Private Party and Young Bucks, and then RJ and I will talk about other things. That way we can get the whole show and not have to do all that. So Private Party, Young Bucks, rock and roll, brother.
Well, first of all, though, I'm going to talk about something else that I thought was awesome.
I didn't tell you to talk about anything else. I told you to talk about.
I am trying to show everyone out there in Wrestling with Egos land what a connoisseur of AEW I'm becoming. I'm not just going to go to the obvious things here. I'm going to go a little meta on everybody, and I'm going to try to make Papa AEW over there in Camera 3 proud. Chris Jericho is becoming, well, not becoming. He's always has been this. I guess it hasn't been tapped in. I lost count last night of the number of thinly veiled, and in most cases not so thinly veiled, shots he took at any moving target he could think of. He was running down the fans. He was running down WWE. He was running down former employers of his. He was running down rivals that he's got in AEW now. I mean, and he had that crowd in the palm of his hand. When he's talking about each member of his stable called the Inner Circle, and he introduces Jake Hager, and everybody starts chanting "We the People," and he's like, "Shut up! That was poor creative. That sucks. You should be ashamed of yourselves for chanting it. I'll wait," or something to that effect. I'm like, this guy is just on another level.
Oh yeah,
just on a complete other level. So
real quick, I wanted to talk about that.
I'm sorry, I jumped the gun there. But getting back to the Bucks and Private Party, it's not lost on me that the Bucks are in a little bit of a tailspin here, because with AEW, win-loss records are important. That I'll keep hammering that point home because it's something that I can actually latch onto. And they mentioned it during the match. The Bucks are now in a 3-match losing streak because they lost both of the last 2 pay-per-views, if I'm not mistaken. And then, or the last pay-per-view, and then they lost last week technically in that what became a handicap match. The longer that match went on, though, with Private Party, I was thinking, okay, they're giving Private Party all these false finishes. The Bucks are going to come up with something. Because they are the number 1 overall seed, right? They're the number 1 overall seed, guys. How can they lose? I was as stunned as anybody when Private Party pinned them. And I even messaged you guys, private party for the win, wow, or something like that. I just, it was my introduction to private party. Those guys are smooth. And those guys can take a pounding and come back from it. They prove that. They're not just, you hit them with one super kick and then you pin them. It gives me an idea as to how deep AEW's tag division really is, because you've got all these great people, half of whom we haven't even seen yet. Like RJ said before, because it's a 2-hour show and you can only fit so much action in a 2-hour show. And we're really
spread on Tuesday nights on YouTube.
Yes, the dark matches too.
Fantastic
so,
show.
I mean, I would go so far, and maybe you'll call this, just lack of being exposed to anything else, but I would go so far as to make that a match of the year candidate.
Oh, no question.
It was that there was stakes. There was, everybody had their chance to shine. I didn't feel like it was a spot fest.
No.
Because the spots unfolded onto each other, and it wasn't just, okay, we're going to super kick you for 5 minutes. Right. I mean, I saw moves, I don't even know what you call them. And then you guys warned me about the shooting star press, which was majestic.
Oh.
Bellissimo. So I'm here for all of it. And RJ's right. There really was no clunkers this week. I mean, everything I saw, there was a reason for it. I even like Pac on commentary during the Moxley Spears match. So I will now return you to your regularly scheduled portion of the program where other people talk about AEW besides your boy.
Right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and pretend that the first thing that Brian said when Brian went into business for himself, because first off, that's my gimmick, you son of a gun.
Some people would argue I don't do that often enough around here. So, I mean, when it happens, you got to be impressed with that when it happens.
I'm very much impressed with that. And for the record, one of those people that says he doesn't do it enough is married to me. First off,
another one's married to me.
Yeah. The Jericho promo. There was nothing about that was even a B level. That was one of the best promos I have ever heard in my life. And you got to think about this. I've been watching this for a long time. I've seen DiBiase. I've seen Jake. I've seen Paul Heyman. I've seen Flair. I've seen Dusty. I've seen all the really, really old Gold Dust ones. I mean, God. Everything about it was beautiful. And there were so many. You talk about the underlined, the hidden shots in there. Screw that, man. They were out there. It was like a freaking movie or a video game with Easter eggs. Oh, plenty. Yeah, there was the shot at the fans and the bad creative with the "We the People" chant. And he got in, of course, a little bit of the bubbly.
I love that line.
There was one more thing that he threw in for me last night that I loved. Talking about Santana and Ortiz, and then said the words "Viva la Raza." Shout out to Eddie Guerrero on his birthday. So as soon as I heard that, I was like, yes. And I gotta be honest, I am 100% here for the name The Inner Circle. I love it. I love it because it's Jericho. Jericho's the rock star. Literally, he's a rock star.
Literally.
And it's just, it's his inner circle. He kept saying, Sammy Guevara's on my list. And I'm like, oh, no, he's not going to call it the list, is he? Or any stupid thing like that. And he was like, this is my inner circle. I'm like, we are the inner circle. I'm like, oh, thank God. I actually like that.
I wondered where he was going with the my list stuff too. And I'm like, he's going to recycle that, but no, he's not going to recycle that.
Yeah,
no.
Jericho.
I'd say, when has Chris Jericho ever recycled anything? And I'm going to be honest. Last night was probably the first time, and this will be the last thing I say before I kick it to you, RJ. Last night was probably the first time I've ever really listened to the audio edit of how they edited Judas by Fozzy for his entrance. And it just, the way they, because, you know, when they take a real song for a wrestling thing, they usually chop it up a little bit. You want proof? Edge's entrance. The speed metal part that you hear at the beginning of that is actually at the end of Metalingus by Alter Bridge. Yeah. But the way they spliced it and made Jericho's AEW theme, I was like, oh man, it was like synchronized. Give you a great the only example I can think of right now is actually this show, the beginning of it, where we've got the explosion that happens right as the drums come in with the opening music. I mean, it's just kind of that, but it's that throughout the entire entrance. Like, oh, that's beautiful. Whoever did that is a just genius, and you're not paying them enough. Tony Khan, Cody, guys, you're not paying that guy enough. I wish it was me. RJ, what'd you dig, man?
Well, we have obviously moved into my favorite portion of the program, the AEW portion of the program. So I will mention today we are recording this on Thursday, October 10th. Happy birthday, Tony Khan. I have to say that. Gotta go ahead and throw that in there. One thing, so I'm going to go into business for myself a little bit, and I'm going to mention one thing that neither one of you mentioned about the Jericho promo. I agree with every single thing that you guys said involving Chris Jericho with this promo, so I'm not going to talk about Chris Jericho at all.
All right.
Jake Hager did not move.
No.
His mouth didn't move. His eyes didn't move. His nose didn't move. His arms didn't move. His knees didn't move. He didn't move. He reacted to nothing. He did not move. He was like Jericho's freaking soldier standing there.
No, dude. He was Ivan Drago. It was just
it's such a baller move to just stand there and just not move at all and just have that expression on his face. And I had to throw that out there because it was something that I noticed and was awesome. I'm gonna skim over this real quick. Moxley and Sean Spears had a really, really good match. Sean Spears doesn't get enough credit for how good he is in the ring. I see a lot of people on social media saying that Sean Spears sucks, and I could not disagree more. I think that he's fantastic in the ring. He is what Cody says he is. He's a good hand, but he is a fantastic hand. He's a really good worker. He's a fantastic wrestler. I want to spend most of my time on Darby Allin. Darby Allin had his national coming out party last night. I know he's been on pay-per-view, but that kid is a star. From the way that he moves, to the way that he sells, to the way that every single second that you see him means something. Every move he makes, every sound he makes, everything means something.
Really quick, my hand still hurts from what was happening to it yet. What happened to Darby Allin's hand? I had to go into like post-op surgery this morning for my hand. So you can send your cards and letters to wrestlingwithegos@gmail.com. Continue.
I hear that. And then it was really awesome. See, Jimmy Havoc did a fantastic job. No, I'm not discounting Jimmy Havoc at all. He played his part phenomenally, as he always does. The promo Jimmy Havoc cut right before the match, like how they did the split screen, which I loved, by the way. How Jimmy Havoc's entrance was in the upper screen, and then they had his promo in the lower screen, and the promo was phenomenal. And one thing I have to mention was I had just said to the folks in the room with me that Jimmy Havoc was a guy that I was scared as to how well he was going to be able to connect with the audience. That promo ended, and I looked at my wife and said, well, forget I said anything. I was wrong. Because he nailed it. He nailed it. He nailed it. But Darby Allin was, to me, the star of that match. He was the star of the show last night. I 100% agree with him going over. I feel the match between him and Jericho is going to be absolutely great. I am 100% behind any sort of push that Darby Allin gets. I feel like it's kind of obvious he's not winning the belt because, Jericho's defending at the pay-per-view, but he's getting a little bit of run on Jericho and in the main event scene, and I think that is fan-freaking-tastic. Every single thing that kid does means something, including, and I would be remiss if I didn't mention, my second favorite part of the night was the skate in at the end when he came down the ramp on his skateboard and jumped off the skateboard and took out Jericho. Because the way that Darby Allin, for uninitiated folks, the way that Darby Allin got famous was by jumping off of stuff on his skateboard and breaking himself. He is a skater. He's been a skater his whole life. He has skater viral videos. He's more famous for that than he is as a wrestler. I feel like that's over now. But he was more famous as a skateboarder who hurts himself on the internet than he was as a professional wrestler. So I love the way that he's been incorporating the skateboard. The skate-in was fantastic. I don't want to spend too much time on it, but I just want to say, as a Kenny Omega mark, I have to mention the barbed wire broom was freaking amazing. All right, I had to shine a light on Darby Allin and get my boy Kenny in there a little.
Yeah, I'll piggyback off of one more thing before we move on. You said RJ, yeah, that Jimmy Havoc promo was gangster. Just my pain. I'm like, that was so good. Because I think maybe me more than either one of you guys, I really, really can just get get the warm and fuzzies over a really good promo. Like, especially if it's one of those promos that either, like, if you're a creepy character, you kind of make me a little uneasy, or if it's whether you're a heel or a face, if it's a really impassioned promo, like last night with Jimmy Havoc, and you're gonna feel my pain. I'm like, damn.
Darby Allin posted, there was a promo that was posted on the AEW Twitter earlier yesterday, which was Darby Allin's pre-match promo that they didn't show on the air, and it is definitely worth your time to go find it.
I definitely have to. So cool. Let's go ahead and move in to NXT. We're just going to spend a little bit of time on the black and gold brand tonight, mainly because, let's be honest, nothing really massively consequential happened, with the exception of one thing. Speaking of match of the year contenders, Drew Gulak, Lio Rush, Cruiserweight Championship, now being billed as the NXT Cruiserweight Championship. I got a problem with that, and I'll just leave it at that. I don't think I need to say anything beyond that. But damn that match. It was so good. You saw what makes both of those in-ring performers what they are. You saw Gulak at his technical master self. I mean, he was just, when the match slowed down, he controlled it, kept it on the mat, and it was just clean, flawless. And then when the tempo picked up, you saw why Lio Rush is arguably one of the best high flyers in the game today. Definitely best high flyer across WWE. I don't think there's an argument to that. He's the best high flyer. Him and Ricochet, best high flyers you got.
The only argument, yeah.
Yeah, Ricochet is the only argument. But I loved the match, and at the same time, I liked Lio going over and winning the title because it's a second chance. And you honestly, early part of this year, when he started really rubbing people in WWE the wrong way, you could have honestly made a massive bet saying, yeah, Lio Rush will win the Cruiserweight title before the end of the year. And people would have looked at you like you were an idiot. I honestly expected by this time this year, Lio Rush would be, honestly, in AEW because he would have gotten fired.
Me too.
So, Your thoughts on that? Because other than Velveteen Dream addressing Roderick Strong and Isaiah Swerve Scott's match with Roderick Strong, which wasn't bad either, that's about all we had.
Right? I'm glad to see Lio Rush get his second chance. His issues, his personal issues have been well documented. And I'm glad to see him get the chance to do something besides being a hype man for somebody, and just being kind of like a fly in the ointment, as it were, when we helping Lashley out last year, it was last year.
Yeah.
Because I knew his talent was deeper than that. And that was just all they had for him at the time. So let's put him where his talents are going to be best utilized, and let's give him some run. I couldn't agree more with that. I think it's much well deserved, because he's probably put the work in to, get his mind right, get in a better state of health, and more power to him.
Can I just say one more thing before we move into another thing that we like exploring on this Wednesday Night War? I like Lio Rush holding the title and having a prominent face on NXT, because you know what that means? That means that we're this much closer to not only having the world's, future WWE Women's Champion Izzy in the front row at Full Sail, but we're this much closer to Lio Rush's biggest fan being a part of Full Sail, one Danielle Fishel, also known as Topanga. We're just this much closer, because Danielle Fishel is a wrestling fan and loves her some Lio Rush.
For sure.
Massive Lio Rush fan. So come on, guys. Everybody between the ages of 33 to 42, 43, we watched Boy Meets World. Arguably, you could make the argument that Topanga might have been RJ's first TV crush.
No doubt about it.
Brian and I are a little bit older, so we had other ones.
I'll share two of them with you right now, really quick.
Go.
Alyssa Milano on Who's the Boss.
Yeah.
And my number one favorite of all time, Danica McKellar on the Wonder Years.
Yeah. Love her too.
Oh my God, Winnie Cooper.
Winnie Cooper is my number 2 of all time. Topanga's my 1. But yeah, oh man. Actually, you know who another one of mine was? Christine Taylor, when she was on Hey Dude on Nickelodeon.
Yeah, she was cute.
Yeah. Anyway, moving right along. Let's
bring it back in.
Before we move on, I wanted to mention something that I thought was pretty cool. So obviously there are people that flip back and forth between AEW and NXT. There are people that have 2 screens, watch them side by side. I was scrolling social media earlier, and I came across a picture of somebody that was watching AEW on one screen and watching NXT on another screen. And Britt Baker was doing her thing on Dynamite at the exact same time that Adam Cole was on NXT. That's a boyfriend-girlfriend couple right there for the people that don't know. So I just thought that was really cool. I had to tell you guys that.
So RJ is our lead researcher when it comes to Nielsen ratings and social media engagement. And he gave us some really interesting stats, and obviously shout out to RJ for this one. Twitter reported yesterday that during the Wednesday Night War, episode 2, hashtag AEW Dynamite was ranked 8th globally with 1,018,000 mentions. Hashtag WWE NXT came in 27th with about 790,000 mentions. I don't know if this is RJ. Is this global or is this U.S. domestic?
I think it's U.S. domestic ratings.
I'd say because 790,000 for NXT globally would seem a little low.
That's the viewers. It's not that much lower than what they had last week.
Okay.
They NXT's viewer number went from 845,000 to 790,000, so they lost about 55,000.
Right.
Of course, and we knew they were going to have a drop off because they basically put on a takeover last week. And AEW's that 1,018,000 number, it's a little tiny bit higher than that, only because it was simulcast on 2 channels in case TNT got taken over by baseball. And there
Right.
were 122,000 people that watched on True TV. So AEW went from 1.4 to 1.1 million viewers. So there was a little bit of a drop off there from the debut. But I personally felt like that last week was a takeover level NXT, and it was the debut of AEW, and we knew that those numbers were going to be really, really high. I felt like whatever the viewership was this week is going to be close to the baseline. I think both numbers will end up being a little higher than they were this week, only because the baseball playoffs aren't going to last. And once a lot of those viewers are going to tune into wrestling, but I feel like this is pretty close to what the baseline is going to be, about 800,000 for NXT and about 1 million for AEW.
All right. Well, keep in mind, while those were some great numbers for both shows, you also need to look at what both shows were running against last night. So you had the season premiere of South Park, their 300th episode, which was another monumental thing. I still haven't watched it. Then again, I got a lot of South Park to catch up on. You had preseason NBA, which still garnered 1 million views, and it was the new look Lakers and somebody. You had American Horror Story, which is starting back up. You had, drawing almost 6 million viewers, the Nationals and the Dodgers, which garnered more views than anything else. And then you had another baseball game that we are not going to freaking talk about.
Don't forget about Tucker Carlson tonight.
Oh,
I mean, because we need to make sure equal time for.
No politics. I will throw you the hell off the show.
No, I'm just mentioning the show. I'm not mentioning his slant on anything. I'm just saying, don't forget about Tucker Carlson tonight.
Can I mention something? I kind of want to make a little bit of a prediction here.
Okay.
What? Are you okay?
Are you about to talk politics? Because I'll kill you.
No. God, no. I
hate politics.
About that. I watch wrestling.
I get to goat sound RJ.
So, you get to goat sound me earlier. Make sure you pay attention.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I'm just saying. I didn't wave my arms or nothing, so don't forget. Anyway, so there's a lot of talk today amongst people that I listened to part of the Busted Open Radio with Bully Ray and Dave LaGreca, and they were talking about a lot of things that I had been bringing up to the Villain in Training. AEW, I feel like the viewer difference there kind of boils down to when you just look at the two shows, AEW feels bigger. It's in a 10,000 seat arena where the fans are lit exceptionally well compared to NXT. Now, we'll use the first 2 matches the way that they used them on Busted Open. So to start AEW, you have the Young Bucks and Private Party put on a barn burner of a match, maybe the best tag team match of the year. And on the other channel, you had a fantastic match on the other channel on NXT between Lio Rush and Drew Gulak that was happening at the same time. And it just, as good as that match was, and that match was phenomenal, and I'm not discounting Drew Gulak is phenomenal. I'm a huge Lio Rush supporter, have been for a long time. I think the kid is fantastic. Nice to see him getting his run here. It just looks so different. On the one channel, you have 10,000 fans that are just going, pardon my pun here, buck wild for this match with the Young Bucks and Private Party. That crowd was electric. And then on the other channel, and you could see how electric they are because they're lit well. On the other channel, you have Lio Rush and Drew Gulak wrestling in front of 500 people that are dark, that aren't lit, that you can't see reacting to this fantastic match in the ring. It's just when anything's happening on AEW, it is so hard to, and I've had it happen on Raw. Like there'll be a game on Monday Night Football that I want to watch, and Raw will be on, and I'll get bored with whatever is actually happening on Raw, not commercials, but whatever is actually happening on Raw, and I'll flip over to the football game. It is impossible to do that while stuff is actually happening on your screen during Dynamite because
Right.
you just, it seems so much bigger and it's so entertaining and there's just so much going on. I'm going to go ahead and say right now that NXT is going to become an arena touring television show by January because there's no way they let their show look as second rate as it looks next to AEW for very long. They will not let that stand. By January, NXT will be a touring television show.
I
I
agree. I think they might push it back, and I think they might make that change post Mania. But
I don't see Vince being patient at all. He has no track record of that at all.
I
you're right
had
about
heard that the scuttlebutt was they were planning on taking it out of Full Sail, despite the relationship they've had with them and how integral it was in the in the infancy of NXT. That the realization is dawning on them they have to make it a little bit bigger. You know, maybe it comes to the Wolstein Center, for example. You know, here in Cleveland, that would be a good place for it.
Absolutely.
Yes. But yeah, and there's a lot of also, all over the country, there's a lot of other smaller arenas that you could easily squeeze, squeeze NXT into that are roughly because you want to at least start in an arena roughly about the size of what AEW was in last night. I know a lot of them down south. I mean, you can do the World Congress Center in Marietta, Georgia. You can do the Legacy Arena in Birmingham. I mean, that thing only holds eight or 10. So you're not talking like massive, Rosemont Horizon size arenas. You're just talking good arenas that are larger than, Full Sail or, we've experienced wrestling shows here, the Agora Theater in Cleveland.
Right. And that's the same kind of show that NXT has always been, and that's kind of part of the one of the things that draws you in is how intimate it is and how intimate especially Full Sail looks. And I've always loved it, and I do think it's fantastic. And I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying they're going against another show now that looks bigger. So they need to change their game up. As much as we all love what they're doing, they do need to change that, I think.
100% agree. Gentlemen, we had some homework to talk about.
Yes, we do.
Last week, our beloved Professor Brian assigned for us from Survivor Series 2017. It was a match between the then and now reigning, defending, undisputed WWE champion. No, it was not. It was the Universal Champion.
Universal Champion, yeah.
Brock Lesnar versus the phenomenal AJ Styles, which the match got flipped around real quick because just a few weeks before Survivor Series, AJ defeated Jinder Mahal for the title on SmackDown. Thank you, God, because I did not want to have to watch Brock Lesnar and Jinder Mahal.
I actually forgot about that until I turned on the homework and saw a sign in the front row that said Brock fears the Maharaja, and that's how I remember.
Yeah, I did see that, and it didn't register. Brian assigned it, so he'll get to go last. RJ, you want to pass or play?
It doesn't matter to me. Whatever you want to do. I got my notes right here.
I'll go first then, because yours will obviously be a little bit more concise. I've kind of run around like a chicken with my head cut off today. It was probably the best I've seen. one of the two best matches I've seen Brock Lesnar have as this incarnation of Brock Lesnar. And by that, I mean, what WrestleMania was it where Cena and Rock met, and then the very next night is when Lesnar showed up. Was that in Miami?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So it was the first Cena Rock match, whatever WrestleMania that was. That
28.
is 28. That is the beginning of this incarnation of Brock Lesnar, the MMA Brock Lesnar, Suplex City and all that jazz. One of the two best matches I've ever seen. I've seen this incarnation of Brock Lesnar have. The other one being the one against Daniel Bryan, which was spectacular. You can clearly tell, and this is honestly, as good as this match was, it's all AJ. I'm sorry, but AJ being the Georgia boy redneck that he is dragging Brock Lesnar tied to a four-wheeler on this crap. He makes, and this feeds right into our GOAT discussion from a couple of weeks ago, how we had made the statement that AJ Styles can have a match with anybody and make them look like a wrestling god, no pun intended, JBL. But he made Lesnar look like a very credible professional wrestler. He made him look like Brock Lesnar circa WrestleMania 19 against Angle. And I loved it. All the spots were used to accentuate what Lesnar could do, and he had a no pun intended phenomenal dance partner in AJ Styles. I'll give it a B plus, not because it's a really really good match. It's not great because one person is a lame duck in the match, and his very capable in-ring adversary is one of the greatest of all time, and he is pulling him through this match by the nose. So, RJ, you up?
I will disagree a little bit. I think that Brock carried some of the match. I think he was pretty agile and athletic, and he's not as good of a professional wrestler as the first incarnation of Brock Lesnar was, but I feel like he is a tad underrated at this point in his career. Okay, so I just want to mention real quick to Patrick that I don't know if you noticed, but AJ comes out for his entrance, and they mentioned something about him having a Georgia Bulldog mentality. Go Dogs, sick 'em. So Heyman takes the microphone as he always does. One of my favorite parts of the match is Heyman taking the microphone to do his introduction for Brock Lesnar in this particular match. He says, "Fighting!" And then he looks at AJ and says, "Did you hear that, Mr. Performer? Fighting!" out of the corner. And I thought that was phenomenal because leading up to the match, he had talked about how AJ was a fantastic performer and maybe the best performer in the business and maybe one of the best performers of all time. And I thought that was a really nice touch. I have a note about the Brock Fears the Maharaja sign. After last Friday, I had no interest in watching a Brock Lesnar match. It took me. I know we were assigned this homework the day before, and had it happened after, there's no way you would have assigned a Brock Lesnar match. It was just really hard to watch him being as bad about him as I am.
Yes.
A couple other things that I noticed. No one, obviously, and this is a thing that you notice no matter what, nobody is better than AJ Styles at getting their ass kicked. AJ just sells better than anybody. It's the thing, and this says a lot comparatively to all the other stuff that he can do. I think that selling a beating is what AJ is best at. And he might be the best ever at it. Booker T was absolutely trash on commentary. I wish I could have had a Booker T mute button while I watched this match. It was absolutely he was horrible.
He's trash on commentary.
I agree with you, as is Jerry the King Lawler, but that's a different topic.
Shucky ducky quack quack.
Ryan, I will come to your house and slap you. Stop.
I noticed the New Japan Pro Wrestling shirt in the second row. I wrote that down. The calf crusher counter was absolutely phenomenal. No pun intended, obviously, because I'm talking about Brock, but it was phenomenal. And I feel like Brock is the only guy that works for. Yes. Brock is the only guy that counter feels realistic for. I'm going to do a little tiny mini rant mode on here. There's something during this match, I was reminded of how good a guy like AJ Styles can be when you let him be as good as he can be. And that got me thinking about how we might be in the most talented era of wrestling ever. We might have the most high-level performers that we have ever had in the world, ever, at a single time. And WWE is not letting us enjoy it the way we should be able to enjoy it, because they are wasting away so much talent. And this time is going to come, and it is going to go. And there is going to come a time where we are in a downtrend of talent again. And WWE is going to look back at this and say, holy crap, we had so much talent. We could have made so many more billions than we actually made if we could have just got our head out of our asses for 5 minutes. Rant mode off.
Amazing Grace.
It sounds an awful lot like something somebody else in this show has said a time or two.
Yeah.
I wonder.
Fireside chat, maybe?
Well, yeah. I mean, that not. I wasn't thinking about that. But I know I've used that, a time or two in the past before the fireside chat.
I'm gonna just stick with what I just said. Hashtag fireside chat. Yeah. Brian, your thoughts on your RJ letter grade?
Oh, I didn't grade it. Yeah, it's funny that you said what you said, because what I actually wrote down as my grade is B. AJ gets an A+.
A quick side note on this match, Patrick, you mentioned last week when I assigned the homework, Paul Heyman's interview that he gave, and he made AJ listen, stand off camera. That was actually on the 365 of AJ Styles. They actually showed that, like, hey, wait here, and it's AJ and his wife. His wife was there with him too, and AJ was kind of just in bewilderment, like, he's actually putting me over to this degree. So the match is everything the two of you said it was. And I gave you this match primarily because it was AJ Styles, and we were coming off the AJ as GOAT discussion. And this was the match that kind of sticks out in my head of a more recent vintage that kind of proves what AJ is capable of. Yeah, he makes Lesnar look like a world beater, which I suppose on some level he is, but he's a lazy world beater who has 2 moves, and we're supposed to buy him as champion. Even though now he's being run down by MMA guys who may or may not be able to pursue a wrestling career because they need surgery. But that's another story for another time.
Moving on.
Yeah. This match, I will give this match an A- solely on the backs of AJ Styles. I will, because of what he was able to get out of Brock, the fact that it went 3 times or even 4 times as long as a Brock Lesnar match normally does. It just speaks to everything that we've said about AJ Styles. You know, you guys are right. AJ takes a butt kicking for most of the match, but then he gets some spots in and he does some reversals on Brock that make you think, wow, I think maybe AJ is going to win this match. Even knowing the outcome the way I do, I still queued this one up when I watch it to remind myself. And I thought, oh, I guess that means AJ's going to win. No, Brian, not so fast. Calm that down. So it gets an A- for me. I'm glad that both of you found it in yourselves, despite how we felt about Friday night, to queue up a Brock Lesnar match and remember with a gentler time, and when we didn't mind so much watching a Brock Lesnar match that much.
Oh no, we minded watching a Brock Lesnar match even at that point.
True. I'm going to throw it over to hashtag rant mode on over there in camera one, because it is your turn this week to deliver the assignment to the people.
Yes, and a little, you may or may not have been a foreshadowing alert from earlier today when earlier in the show when we mentioned Chris Jericho's promo and talked about Santana and Ortiz, and said a very beautiful phrase, "Viva la raza," and then I give a little shimmy because yesterday was would have been the birthday of another one of the guys you can make the case for greatest of all time, one Eddie Guerrero. And I thought we might want to go back and look at one of Eddie's lesser known, really, really, really kick-ass matches. And I take you to Monday Night Raw, May 27th. Sorry, looking at my TV. 2002. It is Eddie Guerrero defending his Intercontinental Championship in a ladder match.
Yay.
Against Rob Van Dam. I
not remember that.
bleeping love this match.
How do I not remember that?
Oh,
I feel like I vaguely remember it, but I'll be happy to cue it up.
This match, there is something so good about it. Kind of scrolling through. Yeah, it's actually, and it's the main event. And this thing is just, oh man, I love this match. So many good high spots. RVD being RVD, Eddie being Eddie. It was either this one or another Eddie ladder match, but this one would have been on SmackDown with Edge. But I couldn't find that one as quickly, so I'm like, yeah, we'll just go with this one. If you want to do extra credit, find that one. And it was a SmackDown match between Eddie and Edge, and another great one. But yeah, that is our homework. Looking very forward to you guys checking that one out. That's going to be great. And now keep in mind, guys, and I keep looking down here at my phone to check my timer because we're trying to stay on time here. Keep in mind, guys, if you want to keep up with this and every other homework assignment we've ever done, don't forget our Google repository, which you can find at bit.ly/with-egos, as you can see right above us. The email address, of course, is always wrestlingwithegos@gmail.com. And you can always hit us all up on Twitter. I'm at Rant Mode On. RJ's RJ Eman 2 N's. Brian is bcrigo15. And if you're no matter what social media platform you're watching, whether it be Anchor, where you're listening, or you're watching us on YouTube, don't forget to like, subscribe. I don't think Anchor has the share and the little click the bell notification thing or the subscription. But if you do it. Like, subscribe, share, click the bell, notifications. Stay involved. More bonus content coming. Yeah, college football, especially as we get closer and closer to Auburn Georgia game, which Auburn will lose. I'm predicting 4 losses for my Auburn Tigers this year because if we look that bad against Florida, Georgia, Bama, and LSU will destroy us. You guys play LSU this year?
I believe so. Yeah.
Ooh, you guys might.
Yeah,
LSU might smoke everybody.
Yeah.
They're very good. Anyway,
Yeah.
Brian has given us this wonderful idea on how to go home this week. And it's simply, we are going to have a little bit of a fantasy draft. Brian, you are kind of the commissioner of this fantasy draft, so why don't you give us the rules?
I would love to. This weekend, starting on Friday and concluding on Monday, WWE is hosting their talent dispersal draft, I guess you'll call it.
Yep.
And it's confusing to me because the official press release from WWE today has the fact that executives from Fox and USA are going to have, and I'm just like, okay, fine.
We ain't worried about that. They're doing a draft. We're going to do a draft with them.
Right.
And we're going to do better than them.
Yes, we will. So,
can I say something about that?
Sure, say something.
I actually think that's fantastic, and here's why. Every other time they have ever done this, it didn't work because the competition is not competition. It's fake. It's fake, made-up competition. This time, it's an actual competition. The people from Fox are not going to want the people that are on SmackDown to be on USA. And the people that from USA are not going to want the people that are going to be on Raw to be on Fox. It is actually going to be competitive. It's not going to be wrestling company versus wrestling company, but it is going to be television network versus television network. And I'm sitting in front of what I'm sitting in front of, and I'm wearing what I'm wearing, and I am saying this actually has me a little bit excited. And I think that if anything is going to save the way that they are going, it is going to be Fox versus USA. Forget Raw versus SmackDown. Fox versus USA might save the WWE.
More
interesting take.
Fox versus Viacom, because Viacom owns USA.
Right.
And every other platform that Raw and SmackDown have been on, they've always been on Viacom products.
Exactly. And this is going to be the first time it's actually a real competition. And I think that it's going to force them to step their game up.
Even when SmackDown was launched on the UPN was a Viacom, entity.
And everybody out there in Wrestling with Egos land can relax because we tonight are not going to attempt to make 71 draft picks. We're just going to, what we want to do is we are each going to make 10 picks apiece that are going to...
10 picks apiece.
You know.
Hold on. Can you let me continue laying the groundwork? We're going to lay 10 picks apiece that are going to give you the vision of what we think these shows should be all about. Your boy will be representing Team Raw and by extension the USA Network. Okay, those two guys over there will be representing SmackDown and by extension Fox. They of the newly minted $1 billion+ deal or whatever. I hope you guys maybe toss a bone your way, that way or something like that. A couple more important points here. We are not drafting anybody from NXT. We're going to leave that roster intact as it currently stands. And also, we're going to treat every superstar on Raw and SmackDown as if they are perfectly healthy. I know that's not true. I know there's some people that are out with injuries for prolonged periods of time, people that are about to come back real soon, that sort of thing. But we're going to treat everybody as if they're healthy, blank slate, and moving forward. So that we're not here until 6 in the morning. Everybody's going to get 30 seconds to make each pick.
All right. Well, here's real quick. I want to add maybe one little thing on that. How about, since it's RJ and I kind of collaborating on picks, can we get an extra 15 seconds?
All right. You guys can have 45 seconds. That's fine.
Hey, because in the real draft this week, for every two picks that SmackDown gets, Raw gets a third because it's a 3 hour long.
Yeah, I was gonna say you got that the other way around.
Yeah, basically, for every hour you spend weekly on the air, you get a draft pick. 3 picks for Raw, 2 picks for SmackDown. Boom. So, here's how we're gonna do this. Since there are 2 of us and only 1 of you, I will be a little bipartisan on this. Give me a number between 1 through 20 without going over. This is how we determine number 1 overall.
RJ, why don't you pick the number?
11.
14.
Brian went over because the number was 13.
Oh, I thought you meant I couldn't go over 20. But that's fine.
Really?
That's fine.
All right.
SmackDown gets the number 1 pick. Congratulations.
Number 1 overall pick. Wow. All right. So we got 45 seconds on the clock and go. RJ, who you think?
I mean, are we looking at? Do we want ability or do we want ratings? That's the.
I think number 1, you gotta get somebody that you build around and is like, this is the guy here now and a little bit into the future.
I agree. Who do you think? Who do you think that is?
20 seconds.
Like number 1, I think you got to go Roman. I mean, he's not my absolute favorite, but in terms of like fan favorite, I think your number 1 has to be Roman.
That's kind of what I felt too.
All right, Roman Reigns.
Roman Reigns.
Okay. All right, gonna write that down.
RJ and I are doing this without any prep whatsoever.
Right.
So Brian's got a little bit of a leg up because Brian's been able to go, yeah, I can, he's been able to strategize.
Yeah, and I got it right here. All right. With Raw's number 1 pick, you said we're gonna build around a guy, and I'm going to build around the guy who is going to become my champion. We're gonna put the belt on him somehow, one way or another, and then we're gonna get a whole bunch of people to go after him. Raw's number 1 overall pick is Samoa Joe.
Good pick. So our second pick. Now here's what I'm thinking, RJ. Let's go ahead and look for the future. Let's go ahead and look exciting, big. Someone that we can say, yeah, this is, Roman might be the guy now. This is going to be the guy down the road. And I'm thinking Ricochet. I'm either thinking Ricochet or I'm thinking Aleister Black.
I would lean towards Aleister Black. I think Aleister Black would have more potential to become a heel that chases Roman.
And also at the same time could be an Undertaker character.
Right, absolutely.
SmackDown.
No man is ever evil. He has both sides of it.
Right. SmackDown drafts Aleister Black.
Okay.
This
is all falling perfectly into place for me.
Hey, I'll tell you right now. I know who we're taking third if he doesn't take him right now.
Okay. I said Samoa Joe's my champ, and I said I wanted to get somebody to start, hungry who wants to go after him. Raw's next pick will be Ali.
You can have him. SmackDown takes Bray Wyatt.
Yep.
Done. But I'd say, fine, you can have him. SmackDown takes Bray Wyatt.
I agree.
Because you know what? We'll put the title on Roman, and then we'll have Bray go after him.
I would have suggested Bray number 1 if I thought Brian was going to take him. But you got to look for value in draft, so let him fall a little bit. But I would have taken him number 1 if I thought Brian was going to take him.
And God love him, Brian isn't twisted enough to take Bray Wyatt number 1.
And I counted on that. That's why I didn't bring him up.
All right. Raw is going to be a show that everybody can tune in and watch and see somebody that they love. So we are going to take Charlotte Flair with our third pick. We got to get the ladies in there because Charlotte doing mad work all over the place.
Well, it's kind of like, here's my theory on our fourth pick overall, RJ. If you kind of like, picking a defense in fantasy football. Once somebody picks a defense, everybody's got to pick a defense, right? So I'm thinking we go with the man.
I don't hate it. Yeah.
All right, so let it be written, so let it be done.
Yep. Count.
With
Lock it in.
Lock it
our
in.
first-round pick, we select the man, Becky Lynch.
All right. With Raw's 4th overall pick, I'm going to take another guy who has been missing from TV for quite a while, hasn't gotten the rocket strapped to him the way we think we wanted him to, but that's okay. We here on Raw are going to strap the rocket to this guy, and we can build up him the same way we're building up other guys. Raw's 4th pick is Drew McIntyre.
Ooh, good one. Good one.
I'm pulling a Bray Wyatt here, and I'm just gonna take a guy because I'm blown away that we're 9 picks into this thing.
And well, hang on, RJ. I think I know where you might be going, but remember, teams get drafted as a group.
I mean, you're on the same wavelength that I'm on, but like, so teams that counts. So Brian's the one that first mocked up the rules for this whole thing.
Well,
As a team, is a team a tag team, or is a team however many guys are a team?
Hypothetically, you could draft the Undisputed Era.
Yeah, right. If we were taking NXT guys, is the Undisputed Era as a team draftable?
Yes.
Yeah, I would say no, because they're a stable. They're not a team.
But they would draft them like you could with a stable or like the New Day. You could take them all if you wanted, or you could take one person. Like if you only wanted Big E and you break up the New Day, you could do that.
If you want New Day, you can take the New Day. Is this what we're doing?
Yes, I think that's what we're doing, but I'm not saying New Day.
No, I'm not either. But we're allowed to do that, Brian?
Yes.
Okay, we take
the because that's what WWE is doing.
Yes. the OC, the whole group.
That's that's exactly where I was going, Brian. Not just take the whole OC and keep their asses healed.
Good call. Because that brings another big, huge singles talent to the roster and a tag team at the same time.
Exactly.
Okay.
For you, Brian.
I have to be reactionary to that pick. Then Rob will take New Day. For just that, I can't neglect the tag team division.
No, you cannot neglect the tag team division. There ain't many. All right. So for number 6 overall, RJ, what do you think? Add to the tag division or add to the women's division?
Women's division, probably.
Are we so in that vein? Are we taking the blueprint, or are we going somewhere else?
Yeah, I mean, maybe just take best available woman. Maybe we just take best available woman.
And that's got to be Sasha Banks.
Sasha Banks, yeah.
And that's number 6, right?
Yep.
Yes.
All righty. I'm not writing any of these down, so somebody shoot me a message later, and that way I can put them up on the screen.
I got you.
Right.
With Raw's number 6 pick, we will take Asuka.
Nice. Breaking up the Kabuki Warriors. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, RJ, I'm going to give you another one. Add to the women again or add to the tag team? Because either you give me that, I'll give you the pick because I know who it is either way.
Probably go team now.
They're injured, right? They got an injury issue going on right now, but But when they come back, they're gonna be awesome. We'll take the Usos.
Okay.
Oh, the magic of modern technology. Skype kicked us off, so yeah, technical difficulties. Gotta love that static. So where were we? Oh yeah, SmackDown had just drafted the Usos which means this is Raw's pick in the what round?
7.
6th round. Go for it, Mr.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Rogers.
seventh round. You're right, because I have made 6 picks already. 7th round.
Pick
Seventh
flip.
7th round. Raw is going to take with its 7th round pick, Kevin Owens.
You son of a. That happens.
Raw is going to be all about strapping the rocket to people. We're going to have all these rockets going off.
Yeah, we were a problem. During the flub, RJ and I took the opportunity to actually strategize some, and yeah, he may or may not have been on the list.
He may not have been our next pick.
Yeah,
Well, now he's not.
yeah. So raise your hand if you've ever had that happen to you in fantasy football. Like, I'm going to pick this guy next. I'm drafting next. I'm going to take AJ Green next. Ah.
I'll tell you what, the guy sitting camera left over there did that to me 5 or 6 times in our offline draft this year.
Oh. Yeah, Brian's done that to me a few times too, and I'm over here just like, you. We actually had a live draft once in somebody else's league at B-Dubs over in Canton, and he did that to me, and he's sitting right there, and I just elbowed the hell out of him, just like, ugh.
Too bad these don't translate into actual championships anywhere. But anyway,
Yeah.
moving right along. I believe SmackDown is on the clock for their next pick.
Yeah.
Where do we want to go next?
I mean, do you want to just take my guy now, or do you want to wait?
Well, wait, is Ricochet on the board?
Ricochet is available. Yeah, I mean, he was considered at our number 2 pick, so I mean, at 8, yeah, we got to take Ricochet.
Damn, this is like draft day. We're Bo Callahan fell all the way back here, but this one isn't a bust. SmackDown takes the one and only Ricochet.
Great pick. Oh, you already took them, so I'll highlight them too. With Raw's next pick, we will take Shinsuke Nakamura.
No!
Yes.
No. Well, RJ.
Yeah, all right.
8th round. Daniel Bryan.
9th round.
9th round. Daniel Bryan.
Raw's gonna take somebody who was one a hell of a value pick at this point. I have no predilections taking this guy at number 9. Raw will draft Seth Rollins.
You can have him. Our final pick. RJ, I trust you. Go for it.
The Miz.
Thank you. That is a hell of a value pick.
And Raw will take the Revival with its final pick to round out the tag team division.
Nice. I got to be honest. Good draft on both sides, but I think SmackDown's going to kick the crap out of Raw.
See, that's where you're wrong, because we're strapping rockets to people here on Raw.
Okay. You're strapping rockets to people, but you know what I find funniest out of everything? Where's Brock Lesnar?
He's not on this draft sheet. You can take a look. He's nowhere to be found.
Not on mine either.
Wow. Okay, so since I didn't write any of this down, RJ, rattle off our picks, just our picks.
Roman Reigns, Aleister Black, The Fiend Bray Wyatt, Becky Lynch, all of the OC, Sasha Banks, The Usos, Ricochet, Daniel Bryan, and The Miz.
Jesus Christ, that's awesome.
A solid roster.
How about Monday Night Raw?
Monday Night Raw recapping. Raw will be going forth. We hope it's not going to happen, but we hope. with Samoa Joe, Ali, Charlotte Flair, Drew McIntyre, The New Day, Asuka, Kevin Owens, Shinsuke Nakamura, Seth Rollins, and The Revival. No flips, just fists and top guys doing top guy things.
Real quick, and this is something for all three of us before we get out of here. If you had an 11th pick, who would it be? Or I'm sorry, let's say the draft is over. Everybody's a free agent. We're still leaving NXT alone. You get one signing, and this is all three of us. Who would it be, Brian?
Andrade.
Andrade, RJ?
Street Profit.
Cedric Alexander.
Yeah, I think what this exercise is trying to prove to everyone is that, we're trying to shine a light on talent that we think is maybe being used improperly, or maybe hasn't just gotten their chance to get some run yet. And that's kind of what I was looking at.
Or
it would have been really
the norm.
Yeah, it would have been really simple for me to say, "Oh, Seth Rollins, yeah, number one." No, it's all about giving people who haven't had the opportunity yet to be the top person, letting them be the top person. That's more so with the guys and the gals, because we all know Charlotte's had a lot of title reigns so far. But I feel like I like my roster because we have a tag team division starting, we have a women's division starting, and we have plenty of one-on-one feuds that are ready-made for the title picture.
Yeah.
And I think you guys have the same thing.
Yeah. And there's a lot of people that are free agents that we didn't even touch. I mean, Alexa Bliss is still on the board. We hate him, but Brock Lesnar is still on the board. But I have one more question before we get out of here. Who the hell's going to be making these picks? That's the funny thing, because there's no GM, and there's realistically there's no McMahon that actually has an on-camera role right now.
Here's a prediction. I think you get a serious version, not the spittle inducing and backstage shenanigans, but you get a serious version of Eric Bischoff, and you get a serious version of Paul Heyman making the picks. No scripted promos or anything. It's just maybe they're sitting at a desk and they just they look over the glasses and with Raw's first pick, we're going to take whoever, because if we're trying to legitimize it. That's the way to do it. Just because you get that in the NFL. I mean, you get somebody walking to the podium and making a serious pick. There's no theatrics. There's no entrance music. There's no nothing.
All right.
Fox released a list like 30 deep of celebrities that are going to be announcing picks during the WWE Draft.
Really?
Yeah. Guys like Alex Rodriguez, Frank Thomas,
Carrot Top.
There's other non-sports people that I don't know who they are.
Carrot Top. I'm kidding.
Yeah, but
if Carrot Top makes an appearance, though, I'm gonna.
They released a big list of celebrities that are going to be announcing picks on the draft. So.
We'll start it. If Carrot Top makes an appearance, I'm going to start a Tiddlywinks podcast next week.
But am I supposed to believe that Alex Rodriguez is announcing this pick? Am I supposed to believe that he's the one that actually made it? Like, that's what I want to know. Like, who am I supposed to think actually picked these people?
Right. And for the record, if Carrot Top makes an appearance tomorrow night on SmackDown, next week, I will be starting the show by saying, welcome to AEW Wrestling with Egos.
Okay, I'll take that bet. Putting my faith in Carrot Top not showing up.
I have this here all night, and I've been waiting to pull it over. Here it is, Brian. There's your chair. There's an empty seat over here on Team AEW for you whenever you're willing to take a step on over.
Whether you realize it or not, gentlemen, I'm already on Team AEW. I'm still not ready to give up, on WWE. Call me a homer, call me foolish, call me whatever. But I watched last week and I watched last night, and I was with rapt attention. You have my attention.
I would like to mention one more thing that I have not mentioned yet that I want to make sure the Wrestling with Egos viewers are aware of.
Shot, go.
There is Tuesday nights, AEW Dark is on YouTube. It's at an 8 o'clock start. It will feature every week. It will feature the dark matches that happened before and after the previous week's Dynamite. The first episode was fantastic. We saw, like I mentioned earlier, we saw, or I think I mentioned it to you off the air actually. We saw Britt Baker do that jaw pull and finisher for the first time on AEW Dark. There were Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus and all of them wrestled. It was a really good first episode. The second episode is going to be bonkers. Make sure you check out the AEW Dark on Tuesday. The match that happened after Dynamite last night was a lights out, lights back on, unsanctioned match like they did before. This time, it was between Joey Janela's crazy ass and Kenny Omega. So make sure you check that out. That match is going to be bonkers. And all the AEW people are all over social media talking about how wait till you see this match. So AEW Dark, Tuesday nights, that's every Tuesday. It's the dark matches from the previous week's Dynamite. It gives you a view of some of the talent that won't necessarily make TV every week.
Right. And we'll have that to digest. We'll have our homework. We'll have the draft. We'll have a lot to digest next week, and looking forward to it as always. So for RJ and Brian and everybody else associated with Wrestling with Egos, my name is Patrick. You guys have already seen the email address and Google repository, and right now you're seeing our Twitter IDs and everything else. Make sure you please engage. We love it when you guys engage. It makes the show fun. So that being said, for the rest of the guys and our families and everybody else, my name's Patrick. This has been Wrestling with Egos, and until next week, that's our story, and we're sticking to it.